morning, South Africa, and we're filming Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Parts 1 and 2. And I didn't want the year to end without thanking you all for coming out to the theater, and thank you for supporting Top Gun Maverick. Hey, here's Chris McCoy, writer, director. Hi, everybody. Hey, thank you. Hey, listen, we really got to roll. We got to get this shot. Oh, yeah, we're filming. We got to get this shot. All right, are you coming? Not on your line. Good luck. Okay, we'll see you down there. Whoa. Where was I? Oh, yeah, thank you for supporting Top Gun Maverick. As always, thank you for allowing us to entertain you. It truly is the honor of a lifetime. Yeah. Very lucky. I'm running out of altitude, so I better get back to work. We gotta get this shot. You have a very safe and happy holiday. We'll see you at the movie.
Mission accomplished.
Rob
Rob being a musical guy, could you do the Mission Impossible theme in like a minor key because it's the last one and it's sad?
Not at the moment. Maybe I can send you something. Yeah, I'll send you an hour of the Mission Impossible theme in the minor key or whatever.
Yeah, make sure you put a lot of effort into that.
I'll slow it down and reverb it, and it'll be really emotional.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sounds like a platinum record to me.
yeah. This is gonna really break through, like for all of us. Like, you know, this is gonna be the ticket.
Rob's our ticket to ride.
Yeah.
Rob.
Rob's here.
Back on the pod.
Rob is here.
Hello. We're in a different
discussing Jurassic World Rebirth. Wait, what's it called?
That's right. I think that's right.
Rebirth?
Is it called Rebirth?
Yeah.
That's a bad name.
Terrible. I don't know. Yeah. Well, Rob is here discussing the new Jurassic World movie.
Afterbirth.
Afterbirth, yeah. And no, that's not out yet. But when it comes out, Rob will come back.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Mandatory.
I love dinos.
Whether you love it or not, it's an obligation.
I'm committed to loving it. It doesn't matter.
We're back and we're talking about the newest, the latest, the last?
The latest reckoning.
The second of two official reckonings, two total reckonings. As far as we know, as it stands currently, two reckonings. This is the last of the two. Right? Is that right?
Two of two reckonings. Yeah.
2 out of 2 reckonings.
I think that's what the movie's called.
And boy, what a picture! You know, like what a film.
It's big.
What we go to the movies for?
Yeah, it's popcorn cinema. You know, when it's like when
IMAX.
you ask Tom Cruise what his ideal Father's Day is, and he says, you know, just making movies.
Yeah.
Big adventure, popcorn.
that cracked me up because it's like you're spending your Father's Day making movies. That seems like an absentee father kind of move.
Yeah. Well, unless
he's acting in series movies.
He's certainly not. He's an absentee father to some of his real children, but he has a whole stable of young Hollywood actors who are his like kin, you know, who his guardians.
He takes on a real like Ethan Hunt role with everyone he acts with. You know,
exactly.
He's like, "You're under my wing now.
Yeah,
I'll protect you forever. Your career is golden."
Like he says to the Haley Atwell character in the last film after he just meets her, "Nothing bad will ever happen to you. I love you so much, and nothing bad will ever happen to any of us."
And he told Haley Atwell, the actor, like, "You're never going to work on the stage again. Like, you're in the pictures from now on, baby. Stick with me."
Yeah.
Also, I'm God, but I'll say I'm not.
Yeah. Well, this, you know, we were talking a bit in Dead Reckoning how, and in Fallout, you know, Fallout reaches a certain peak of film form and also Tom Cruise meta narrative. And then Dead Reckoning, they kind of spin the wheels, maybe not sure where they have to take it. But now they've taken it in a direction I think we can all agree on, and that is Tom Cruise has never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
And he's the most, and he deserves to be the most powerful person in the world, the only person who could handle the power of the entity.
We will get into it, of course, but there were like huge stretches of this movie where it was just Tom Cruise. It felt like for like a really long time, you know. It was like
Yeah.
like the team's off doing their own thing in the B plot, and Tom Ruse.
How dare you? How dare you say that?
Tom Ruse is up. He's just like on screen for like, you know, dozens of minutes at a time, just doing his thing solo.
Yeah, taking a bath.
Being really cold.
Yeah, being getting
super
wet.
cold,
Yeah.
But maybe before we get into that, like, because this is Rob's first time on this franchise, what's your experience with Mission Impossible? How do you like them as a whole? Like, do you subscribe to the Fallout being the best one?
I think it's like the top two favorite for me are Fallout and 2. I feel like it's a toss up between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you like 2.
Yeah.
2's a lot of fun.
2 is so
great.
fun.
Yeah.
2, like the opening of 2 is like one of my favorite moments in the whole franchise still, I think. But yeah, I didn't like grow up with them so much. I saw 3 in theaters. I've seen like bits of 2 on TV. But I watched them all last year. Yesterday. I wish I did. I'd be less lost in this movie, I think. Although they did try to like fill in the gaps for people who hadn't seen them in a while.
Certainly tried.
They
to
really
fill in
tried
the
to.
gaps. Oh,
It wasn't even filling in the gaps though. It was just kind of like
showing you
a
things you've
quick
seen.
flash of like, like I don't know if that would help anyone like orientate themselves.
Yeah,
It's possible it would make it more confusing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that is like why I felt a little more confused, because it's like, remember Philip Seymour Hoffman? He like flashes on for a second and then it's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that, and then they move on to something else and it's like, I don't know what the point of showing me that was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get into it, but that they were trying to create this extended Mission Impossible universe, you know, the MIU, where it turns out that like the rabbit's foot that he's after in MI3 played a role movies later, as if it was all kind of planned out, but it was very clearly like reverse engineered to kind of fit all together in like kind of a silly way. Like some of the callbacks to old movies in this are genuinely funny. I found like some of the legacy characters they chose to bring back.
Yeah. I mean, we will talk about the movie more in depth in a second, but I think my overall impression after having sit with it for a few days and reading some people's reviews, some people's complaints and whatever, like the fact that this movie is very long and very clumsy and ungainly and unwieldy and like extremely awkward at times and almost like edited in a sloppy way that sort of makes it certain things seem like mistakes, like genuine like aesthetic errors, like that shot is held not long enough or that fade doesn't look right. Like it's just such a weird movie in its form, but also it's so funny, and I think it is very rewarding in the Tom Cruise meta narrative yet again,
which is the most important
thing. I liked it. I think it's like also objectively not good in a lot of ways. Like I think especially if you just like went to this movie without having recently rewatched all of the movies for your podcast, you know, you would maybe not have a good time, because it's sort of weird. Like obviously you have to have seen all the movies to really get something out of this one, but at the same time the movie treats you like you have no idea who anybody is. It treats you like you've never seen Dead Reckoning, because it will flash back to something like multiple times in like 5 minutes. It's just so weird.
But at the same time, it'll call back to things that, again, if you haven't recently watched these movies for your podcast, would be absolutely meaningless or trivial. You know,
it's a podcaster's film.
Who cares about like Owen Davian or whatever, or the rabbit's foot?
Who cares that the rabbit's foot is actually the entity?
They didn't need to tie it all back.
Well,
but I will say, like, I've heard, you know, the cinematic layman, like at The Office and stuff, talking about it, and people like, I think the average layman, which is just someone who doesn't have a film podcast.
So yeah, someone who either doesn't have or does not appear on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So that covers us.
I think they dig it.
Yeah.
I think they're like, the action was fun, you know, like, which it is.
Yeah. Well, I kind of I don't know. I kind of really like it, but at the same time, it's the silliest one since Mission Impossible 2. I think.
Yes, for sure.
It's like a total. It's like has the vibe of like episode 580 of like an anime or something, where it's like last time on Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, and there's a whole hour of that of being like last time on Mission Impossible.
Yeah. You're appreciating on another level because of this, though. Like the same way, like Professor Frink and his ball thing is like you will not derive nearly as much pleasure out of this thing as I do.
Yeah, you don't understand, children. The colors. Yeah, it's like that. It's just I just found it like I don't think it's really possible to make a two-part multi-year 6-hour long epic 2-part finale of a series like this. And have to go back to the well and be like, we have to connect everything.
Yeah,
because it's such a these movies are, the plots are so meaningless that like the characters we know and love, but we don't have like deep affection necessarily for them either. No. That's not what makes these movies so great. But so for them to go back and make this like 2-part 6-hour long finale, I don't think approaching it like that is ever going to result in a satisfying conclusion to these types of movies. So the fact that they just made something really weird and like a giant like blob of like 50 different things, I'm pretty satisfied with it because it is so unsatisfying.
I know you. It felt weird. It was like that was the first time since Tom Cruise and McHugh. Yeah. That's Remember McG?
I'm not gonna call him McHugh. I don't. That's propaganda. I'm not interested in that. His name is Christopher McQuarrie. Okay. McG is a whole other guy. He has cornered the market on Mick and a letter, a consonant.
McQAnon.
That's something to think about.
There you go.
That's actually really something to think about. Because this movie, I think, parts of this movie are real. Like QAnon style. Like you can follow the clues. They put a lot of clues in this movie for Q heads.
The Sevastopol is under the Arctic ice caps.
Yeah, the entity is currently taking control of everyone's nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, what I was going to say was this was the first time in that partnership I got that spray on Mike. It sounded good. Very satisfying.
Feels great.
Where it felt like maybe they were giving in to like outside pressures to do something where they tie it all together or establish, which is also weird to do it for like the last one, ostensibly. But it felt like that was just a style that Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise were not interested in doing beforehand.
Yeah. It seems like it takes up so much. It's such a big decision to make it so bogged down in all those connections and like the through lines of everything that I don't know. I find it really jarring, but also funny.
At the last minute too, for the last movie. It's just a weird choice.
It is a weird choice. Yeah. Like shouldn't the last movie have a sort of grace and simplicity to it, to like end on a high note?
Or
that's the thing, is that they ended on a high note with Fallout, and then they were like, well, how do we write ourselves out of this corner? And then they really overwrote,
And ironically, I found the kind of true ending of Final Reckoning to be kind of anticlimactic, like for a series with all this bombast and whatnot. That like final sequence is kind of, I don't know, boring.
You mean on the biplane, or?
No, I mean on when they all he just sees them out in public and they kind of walk away.
Oh.
It was kind of like the Michael Caine joke we were talking about, like
a little bit.
I want to see you in a plaza in Venice.
Yeah. I agree, except that what it implies is very funny.
What's the implication?
Well, like, so the craziest part of the movie is when Tom Cruise survives the submarine thing and takes off all his clothes and floats up to the ice without his lungs exploding.
That part's so awesome.
And then he opens his eyes and he's being nestled by by what's her face, Haley Atwell's heaving bosom, and he's like, whoa, he's like a newborn
Mommy.
He's like a newborn puppy. He's
Mama.
like, oh yeah, and she's like stroking him, right, and she's like, it's okay, Tom, you're alive, And
You did it.
This was what Jordan was saying. He's like, it felt like a dream. Like I thought for sure this is a dream sequence, because she's telling him like, you should control the entity. Like if there's one person I could trust with the power, the ultimate power of like AI, it should be you, because you would use it for good. And he's like, no. I'm too humble. I can't.
Yeah.
I not even me, Tom Cruise, can have all that power. And then at the end when they beat the entity and kill Gabriel and all that stuff, they're meeting up in the little square. It's a little send off to everybody, and she hands him the entity drive, and he's like, "Yep, well, I mean, I got it," and he walks away.
I forgot she hands it.
And
to him.
without any other, I mean, how are we supposed to read that scene? Is it him? Is he going to go give it to the government somewhere? I don't know. Or is he just like, don't worry, I got it.
Maybe he'll cast it into the fires of Mount Doom. It is very Ring-like, that moment where he's like Gandalf, refuses to take it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, let's talk about some other movies we've seen, and then we'll get back to this. Rob, you got anything relevant or not relevant?
Relevant. I mean, this week I watched actually the same. I watched this Mission Impossible movie last night, but I also watched The Swimmer.
I want to see that. I've never seen it.
That's a great movie.
I watched for Twitter reasons. People were talking about it on Twitter. And it was great.
Comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Wait, I have seen this movie. This is the one where the guy who goes from backyard to backyard in time.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It's so good.
It's so cool.
I could swim. I can't do the Burt Lancaster. I try. I could try.
He's
no,
got
I can't
such
really
an
do it.
odd way of speaking.
Yeah, he God, I wish I could do it. But yeah, he's laying out the plan like, there's a pool, backyard, another pool.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why? Why are you doing that?
That's such a sad movie.
Yeah.
He's so fucked.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
It's so...
They don't make movies about people swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't...
Nobody knows how to swim anymore.
About these amazing plans that people, you can come up with a plan and follow through with it. I think that's what the movie's about. It's about following through with a plan that you set out and follow your dreams no matter what,
Exactly.
People will detract from you. It's kind of like Ethan Hunt in a way.
He is. So yeah, he pulls off an impossible mission.
Yeah.
Everyone kept telling him like, why would you do that? You can't do that.
Yeah, there's a bit where there's like an empty pool and it's like, no, I'm going to swim in it anyway.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it was great.
Have you ever noticed my Letterboxd profile picture?
Oh, is it?
It's Burt Lancaster grabbing a drink when he comes out of the pool and there's a drink waiting
That's
for him.
what that is.
Wow.
Yeah, if you look
Finally
at it,
unlocked it.
If you look at
yeah.
it really closely, you'll see
So
it's Burt
funny.
Lancaster.
Oh my
He's
God.
all wet.
I thought it was just like a hideous picture of a man. Well, it is.
Well, yeah.
He's a beautiful man.
A
He's
hideous,
very
a
attractive.
hideous picture of a beautiful man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's such a pathetic guy in that movie, and it's like my favorite kind of genre of
Oh yeah.
of movie, like any Hong Sang-soo movie or like
Yeah.
Chilly Scenes of Winter.
Yeah.
Great
Pathetic guy
movie. Yeah.
Pathetic guy movie is
pathetic
great.
guy. Yeah.
Pathetic Guy is a great genre.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. A lot of good movies, including a upcoming release from Ben Turnbull. I think not Cherub. He's kind of pathetic. No, I think I'll write a Pathetic Guy movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy.
The world is ready.
Yeah, the world needs now
needs this, yeah.
is a pathetic white guy movie. There's not that many of them anymore. Yeah. There's not one released every month.
No.
It's a shame.
Great final shot in The Swimmer. Super depressing.
Yeah.
Super bleak.
Yeah. His old house. There's like empty shots of like he throughout the movie he's talking about like his daughter's playing tennis and there's just like a shot of like this empty tennis court.
Yeah.
It's so like extreme. It's like not a twist or anything. It's not like it's like the whole time something's wrong, something's off, but it's like just like finally resolves in this like something went wrong and he's pathetic and he's lost everything. He's lost it. His dreams are dead.
It's also based on a short story, right?
I don't know.
I believe so.
And it really
Interesting.
feels like shorts. I love like movies based on short stories because like you kind of take like a really tight thematic little tidbit and you can expand it in like a really interesting, beautiful way without getting too complicated.
Without making Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Without calling back to 7 other movies.
Yeah, an epic Dostoevskian, novel.
It is very like
characters.
It is very like focused and just like one simple premise, and he just like goes from pool to pool, sees people, and then talks to them and has some weird interaction.
Yeah, young Joan Rivers is in there.
Oh yeah,
crazy, right?
I noticed that on the cast. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know which character it was.
I think it's when he goes to that big party.
Okay, he goes to 2 parties.
This is the bigger one. Like
okay,
yeah.
The second one.
Yeah,
the one that's like, there's one where like, oh, I missed you. You're so cool, and I love to see you. Thanks for coming. I love you. And then the next one is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Who
So
the fuck
thematic,
do you
so
think you
graceful.
Get back in that pool.
Yeah. But that's interesting. Yeah, Joan Rivers. I don't know.
Yeah. Any other movies?
That's no. Yes, but I can't remember. I can't think right now.
What about you, Alex?
Only one. I saw a real piece of shit from the Tribeca Film Festival at the Varsity called Bad SHABBOS.
Oh, okay. Why?
Like me and the new missus just wanted to see a movie.
Alex has a girlfriend.
And well, never. And it was kind of like there's nothing really playing this week that like we haven't seen, and she's Jewish, so she was intrigued by the title. And
Bad Shabbos. I mean, it's kind of a funny title.
It's kind of a funny title. It's not a funny movie.
No.
It was it was giving like if like you wrote a play in high school and like all your friends acted in and stuff, and then all your parents go and they kind of guffaw at their kids being irreverent and swearing and play acting on stage. It was just like a really small independent movie where like they're having a Shabbos dinner and someone dies and then they like have to try to cover it up, so it's a bit of like a farce in that way, like a madcap farce that all takes place in one apartment in the Upper West Side of New York. Method Man is in it.
Cool.
And I thought like he's actually utilized a lot, but the material, like it felt like the first draft of like a high school script or something, and they tried to like make it look good or have some stylistic flourishes, but those felt more like everyone who worked on this is going to put it in their portfolios or something like that to try to get work on like better projects down the line versus like I thought it would have benefited from more of like a scrappy lo-fi cinema aesthetic or something like that, but they were really trying to make it look nice. Just wasn't worth watching. There were a bunch of like old Jewish people in the crowd who were chuckling, but I feel like they were just trying to make the most of a bad decision.
Right. Yeah. At some point, you kind of have to just play along with the movie that's happening in front of you.
But it was sometimes it's nice to go into a movie completely blind, flip the coin 50-50. And see a real stinker piece of shit and like have a laugh at its expense, right? And walk out of it kind of tearing it a new asshole.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
So
I had not heard of it.
Yeah, don't bother.
No, I don't think I had either.
I think it's like only playing at the Varsity is just not worth anyone's. But it was kind of cool to see like clearly it was one of those movies where it's like clearly like independently made and they just kind of did it. They found one location, one apartment. It was like inspiring in that way, but like my God, if I was going to commit that kind of effort to something, you'd want it to be a bit better, right?
Yeah, ideally. Yeah. Ideally it would be good.
And if you go on Letterboxd, like all the other reviews are people who are like really proud of Noah, like
people who are friends.
Know,
yeah.
So
I can't wait till June 22nd when
Cherub blows up.
We'll get a bunch of reviews that don't have star ratings but have hearts and say Ben was great.
I think
it was so cool seeing my friends on the big screen.
I think it did win an award at Tribeca or something like that, which just makes me wonder what's going on there.
Oh, who knows?
What's going on,
what
Bobby?
Going on?
That's Robert De Niro's Fust, right?
Bobby D. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Anyway.
Well, I wanted to fill in a couple of Tom Cruise gaps, seeing as how we've been talking a lot about Tom Cruise. And there were 3 more recent ones that I hadn't seen, and I was able to watch 2 of them. So I watched Night and Day with him and Cameron Diaz,
Okay.
which is directed by James Mangold, which is weird. And it's definitely one of the James Mangold, like Mangled, as opposed to the James
yes.
Man, comma, Gold, exclamation point. It's so weird because it feels like a Mission Impossible movie, and you can like see Tom Cruise like thinking about Mission Impossible 4 while he's making it.
While he's acting.
Yeah, because the movie, it's basically like, what if you did a Mission Impossible movie, but it was also sort of a rom-com, and it also was all fake, like all digital, and like, so there's stunts and stuff, but there's also a lot of just like phony, weightless kind of CG stuff going on. It's like right before Ghost Protocol, and I feel like he's just like, what if we did this for real instead? And that's why we get Ghost Protocol.
He used it as a brainstorming session.
Yeah, maybe it's just a trial run or something, because it's a pretty I don't know. Some people seem to like it, but I thought it was just like corny,
How's Cameron Diaz in it?
She's fine. I don't know,
I'm waiting for her Substance-esque comeback.
Oh, could be any day now.
Yeah.
The Substance 2. That'd be great. What if they just did it again? They just do it for
The exact same thing.
Yeah. Every they match up like someone, an actress in their 50s and an actress in their 20s, and they're like, okay, Substance 5.
They should change the job though, instead of like a dance instructor. That's like, I don't know,
something that makes more sense.
Something that makes more sense. Yeah. Or maybe less sense. Maybe maybe they're like
cooking show.
Yeah, or like I don't know, a soldier or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that would actually make a lot more sense.
The military
in a way.
implications of the substance. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Hey.
That makes more sense. Yeah, because the people we see taking the substance are actress / I guess workout guru.
Fitness.
Yeah.
and then the other guy is like, what, a doctor or plastic surgeon?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Everyone wants to be younger, I guess.
I
don't know.
guess not
That's
me.
true.
I'm very comfortable with being my current age, 27.
Yes.
I also watched, so that was 2010. This is 2017. He had 2 movies come out in 2017, The Mummy and then American Made.
Oh my god.
And I think American Made got somewhat okay reviews and did decent box office. But The Mummy is like a notorious like failure for Tom Cruise.
I really want to see it.
It's terrible.
I know.
It's really not worth watching.
Oh.
It's just bad. And he took down the whole dark universe, which is something I think that really weighs on his conscience to this day.
Well, that's something that, like, interests us as franchise historians, right? Like, this was
Yes.
supposed to be the rebirth of a new kind of cinematic universe.
Yeah.
And it just flopped.
DOA, as they say
Yeah.
in the biz.
I watched that a little while ago, and I had so much fun watching it.
Yeah.
It
It's pretty, I mean, okay, sorry. Maybe I didn't sell it properly. It is funny.
It's like the way it ends is really funny when like the universe fails, because there's like a tie-in thing that happens at the end.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, this goes absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
But-
Russell Crowe is Jekyll and Hyde.
Really?
Yeah. And it's pretty funny because his Jekyll is like, Mr. Cruz. I mean, wait, what's his name? He's got a dumb name like, Jim Nobody or something.
Some fucking
It's
name.
just it's like Frank Morton or something dumb. It's just like a dumb name. And he'll be like, Mr. Cruz, we need you to harness your mummy powers.
I'm assembling a team.
I'm assembling a team. And then he injects himself with the Jekyll thing. And when every time he injects himself, he's all of a sudden he's like, "Oi, hey, bruv, I'm fucking Jekyll. I've got a big stinky dick."
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Is that like a mid-credit scene?
That part of that happens throughout.
Oh.
He's like a big character in it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I want
Yeah.
to see that movie. I would watch that.
I would love to see his
Yeah.
Jekyll movie. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because when he injects the Jekyll jizz in him, like
juice.
he his face kind of goes like he's got all these veins and he looks weird, but his voice is, but he's very much like, oh, I'm Jekyll. Oh, fuck you. I'm Jekyll. Yeah.
Did you ever see
we were robbed.
that Alan Moore adaptation, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Oh, of course.
A
Back in
long
the
time
day.
ago,
Yeah.
And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is kind of like an Incredible Hulk type scenario.
Yeah. He gets really big.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Silly movie.
I have no
Brutal
memories
movie.
of that movie.
It's crazy. Crazy.
One thing about The Mummy also, I don't know if you want to keep talking about this forever, but
I do.
Tom Cruise in it, I felt like his personality in the movie is so jarring and like it's like slightly off from the usual Tom Cruise character where he's like kind of like mean and kind of like a jerk, and he's like kind of like a rough and tumble. I mean, he's always rough and tumble, but he's like just like nasty a little bit, and it's just like it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, it's weird. He's him and his best pal Jake Johnson are like they're like Tomb Raiders basically. They're treasure hunters, and he's kind of a jerk, and he I don't know, he gets mummy powers.
Cast against type.
The whole thing's just really dumb, like, and it looks bad too. It looks like awful.
I remember like commercials were very gray.
Oh, it's a very gray movie.
Yeah.
But worth it if you want to see every Tom Cruise movie, which I think is a worthy pursuit.
Most people do.
Yeah.
I
think so.
And I also watched Scarface because didn't we talk about Scarface recently? Maybe not.
I feel like Scarface comes up quite regularly.
I just hadn't seen it in a long time.
Tony Montana is our guiding principle, you know. Like,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I would say I don't actually really like it that much.
yeah.
I just is like thinking about De Palma and Mission Impossible and how that is like a great De Palma movie as well as a good start to the franchise. Like Scarface, I don't know. It's just hard to take seriously, kind of.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that people like ever really did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's one of those movies that I would say is iconic, but it doesn't necessarily make it like a great movie. Like when you're actually sitting down, it's really long.
It's long. It's 3 hours long.
Yeah. And kind of repetitive, kind of like.
Well, yeah. At some point, it's just like he's going on GTA missions.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, like I guess we'll follow him on this hit and whatever. I don't know. Too. I think like, I guess maybe it had just been so long since I'd seen it, and also maybe that I've watched a lot of Al Pacino movies since then and thought a lot about Al Pacino, prayed to Al Pacino, and then when I watch this, I'm like, this performance is bad. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like he's doing the voice, you know, they put him in like Cuba face, and it's just it's his performance is so silly,
beyond hammy.
it's beyond, and I don't know, it's extremely funny, but I think it's like not really a good movie. Anyway, that's my hot Scarface take. Yeah, who knows, maybe I'll watch it again in another like 10 years and I'll think it's great.
Just remember, the world is yours.
Yeah, this
So
whole
true.
world is a pussy just waiting to get fucked. That's what he says.
Wow.
I know.
And you say the movie you didn't like. Wow.
Nah, not really.
I like it more when Michael Bolton sings that line in that Michael Bolton Lonely Island song.
Of course.
This whole town's a pussy, just waiting to get fucked.
Yeah, that's right. Well, or the TV version as well. You know, have you heard of the TV version of that? Where he says this whole world, or no, he says the city. He's like, the city is a chicken just waiting to get plucked.
Okay. Nice.
Or the whole "How'd you get your scar bit" in the TV version. He's like eating pineapple or something.
Yeah. How do you get that? Which actually makes more sense. You
Yeah,
know?
totally.
Because pineapple is sharp.
How are you going to cut yourself on a woman's genitalia?
I don't know. Anyway, lots to think about.
I remember liking
Scarface.
I remember liking how he said cockroaches in that. That's like my
Cockroach.
main
Yeah.
memory of that movie.
Yeah.
It is a good enunciation of cockroach. Yeah.
He says cockroach a few times. It's pretty violent.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate
the
it.
violence.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt silly, especially compared to De Palma and Pacino's later collaboration, where instead of a Cuban, he's Puerto Rican, and it's Carlito's Way, which is way better movie, and also like a better performance too. Yeah. Anyway.
Also an influence on GTA Vice City.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. All right, let's talk about this Mission Impossible movie.
Back to the final reckoning.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Have any of your opinions changed in this movie roundup segment?
I don't like it anymore. I just think it drags, And I think also I'm not interested in Tom Cruise anymore.
Whoa.
I'm interested in Al Pacino and the various Latino characters he's played over the years.
Yeah, now thinking about it, I feel like I like the Mummy better than the final Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Mummy is the peak Tom Cruise.
Damn.
It
hard
is.
180.
It's the only one that has Jake Johnson going like, that just happened. Yeah. He gets infected by the mummy and he's like, I'm dead now, Tom. The mummy got me and it'll get you. Yeah. Anyway, great movie. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the best.
Jake Johnson also in the Jurassic Worlds, right?
He's in at least the first one. Yeah. He's behind the desk making jokes.
I don't remember at all.
Those are your favorite movies.
No, yeah. Yeah.
How could you forget?
I hope he's in the next one.
Oh, we all do.
I'm begging for it.
He'll be okay. The next one, the big legacy character they're bringing back is Jake Johnson. And we're all gonna be like, wow, the guy at the computer.
And he's
he's
a T-Rex, and he's like melded with the T-Rex or something.
Yeah.
Is there something in the trailer about like there's like a dinosaur in a tank?
Yeah,
so that's Jake Johnson.
They're making another one.
they made a genetic,
Indominus Rex 2.
Yeah, he looks like it looks like the Rancor from Return of the Jedi. It's got a big head.
Great.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah.
Since we already kind of, gave our preliminary non-spoilery thoughts on Final Reckoning, should we just call spoilers?
I already sort of spoiled the ending of the movie.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, Tom Cruise.
Right, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, spoilers.
More spoilers.
Speaking of funny legacy characters they bring back, the guy from like the first one who was like non-character who worked at the Virginia Institute or whatever.
So funny.
And it turns out he's like living in the Arctic with his Inuit bride, and he's like, he's not actually mad at Tom for getting him exiled. He's like, thank you, I wouldn't have found happiness. That was insane.
Yeah,
that was insane.
That's maybe the single funniest thing, because the whole movie is about how Tom Cruise has never done anything wrong in his entire life.
Even when he does something wrong, it inadvertently helps someone out.
Yeah.
Like it guides someone's direction in life.
Yeah, even though Luther gets killed and falls into one of Gabriel's traps and blows up.
Yeah.
In a sense, it provided him the hero's death he always needed. He always wanted, I don't know if that's not true, but you know what I mean? It's just funny too that they're like, he has cancer, so he's dying and he's in a special London Underground hospital room.
Yeah.
In the tunnels.
He had to die because he had a pre-recorded speech, so he needed to use that.
Yeah.
So.
And how
It's
embarrassing
perfect.
would it have been if Tom didn't save the day?
So embarrassing.
And then just as nuclear warheads are going off across the world, we hear that Luther speech, which is so long and so saccharine and doesn't really say anything deep at all.
And it's contradictory too. I feel like
it is. It's like someone pointed out it felt very like Chat GPT, which is funny, right?
ChatGPT, write a final message to Ethan.
Yeah, well, it's just very it's just platitudes and
Something about the goodness in people.
It's not very. It's not particularly personal. It's just sort of like, you're the greatest guy.
It didn't feel like it had anything to do with kind of like what we've seen beforehand in necessarily any of the Mission Impossibles. You know what I mean?
Not,
it was
not really.
They were trying to tie these themes of innate human kindness. I guess Ethan Hunt is the nicest person on the planet.
about friendship and stuff.
Yeah.
The speech was about what I took from it was destiny is written, your destiny, you're fulfilling your destiny, but also you have no choice, and that's what you're going to do. That's what I was going to do. I was always going to die, but then also you're in charge of your destiny, and you should do whatever you can to make everyone's lives better, and you are in charge, and you need to do things right.
Mm-hmm. And you alone can control the entity in the thumb drive. It's yours. It's yours now. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like this, weaving in of the theme of predestination, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They kept being it is written or something. The entity wills it to be. The entity considered a million, outcomes and like is banking on like these. It just
Yeah, but the one thing it didn't consider is that perhaps Tom Cruise is just crazy enough to beat the predetermined plan. Right?
Absolutely. Well, I've seen Minority Report.
Yeah, exactly. He's the only one who could outthink the AI, because the AI is like, well, Tom Cruise isn't going to do that, and then he does it.
The president would never agree to work with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
She would not work with him.
She would listen to Nick Offerman, General Offerman.
General Offerman,
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Saddest moment in the movie.
I know, we were both crying. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's true.
yeah, we were crying. Yeah,
That part was one of the funniest moments to me.
yeah.
It's like, do I care about this general? I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's like we were meant to care about him because he's Nick Offerman. And
Yeah.
people have positive associations with him.
Sure. But I love
Yeah.
that, because you see there's the two like non-speaking role like just agents in the room, right? And one of them's getting that squirrely look on his face. And you're like, oh no, he's part of the entity cult, which is Alex's
very funny.
favorite thing, right?
Whenever they kept cutting to those people in the news, like those just dead-eyed losers who were like, the entity saved me or whatever. I was like, and they kept bringing it back. And there's like that moment where I think like Tom is walking through like a riot that's kind of been like orchestrated by like the entity because of the mounting tensions between the government and people and stuff like that. But they didn't really, do anything with the cult members. Like, I'm happy they're there. I thought they were really funny. And every time they cut to that incel on TV, like it was very good. But like, it felt like they were
the entity has promised me a girlfriend.
Yeah. I guess they like, mentioned that the entity has this like cult so that like every now and then like someone could get into a fight with like an entity double agent, like that takes place on the sub as well.
Yeah.
Brainwashed.
The entity has somebody in every
sleeper agent
in every room. Yeah.
Convince them that it's in their best interest somehow. I don't really understand. What do they
they're
promise?
gonna get girlfriends.
Oh, okay.
When he's
Yeah,
fighting
they're-
Tom in the sub. He's like, I'm gonna get a
I'm
girlfriend.
finally gonna get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get off this sub finally one day.
So the beginning of the movie with like the entity like flashing in front of us and like all the like Koyaanisqatsi sort of stuff and Tom Cruise going into the entity box and putting on the mask. I just like stuff.
You'll
like,
come out a changed man.
Stuff like that is so funny to me. Anything that even comes close to capturing the magic of Tom Cruise wearing that fucked up mask in Vanilla Sky when he goes to the club and he's just like, I'm having fun, but he's like really dying inside. When he puts on the mask and he's getting zapped by the entity and he's like, no, I can't handle it. Like that's what the cinema's made for, for me. It's just to see an absolute freak of a man, one of the most powerful people in Hollywood, just make a movie that is
Enter a box.
like, see, just get into a box and get zapped.
It's very
Just
funny.
A movie that's just so silly. Like
when Palm Clementieff's like, that's how he speaks with it or something, and then he just gets in like it's
zap.
It's possibly like sillier than Mission Impossible 2 in its own ways, like
It's hard to say because it almost feels sillier because it's
so
a
much
modern
more.
movie now.
Yeah.
Like part of why Mission Impossible 2 was silly when it came out, but part of why it's extra silly for us now is because it's 25 years old or whatever, right? And so much of that, what makes it great is that 2000s kind of flair, like the Limp Bizkit and like the John Woo and everything, and
The soundtrack.
yeah, and his long hair, and they bring back the long hair. This is the connection. This is the connection.
You're right.
But the reason this one feels so silly is that the movies, especially Rogue Nation and Fallout, have a very like modern, slick sensibility to them, and I think they don't really have a lot of fat, right? Like they're pretty focused. And there's certain discursions and so on, but not really, right? Like especially Fallout is very like A to B to C, and then and then it's over. Whereas this movie is like, this horizontal spread of roots and like just like completely unnecessary exposition and choices, right? That and I think, I know I mentioned this already, but I think genuinely it's very sloppily made. Like I kind of want to go back and see it again because there were certain cuts and fade outs and transitions that I thought like that can't be right. Like this has to be a version they're going to release later on DVD where it's like we tighten it up. we went in and we tightened it up a little bit.
Yeah. Or maybe there's like a 6-hour cut of this movie alone where those weird little like diversions get a chance to breathe and like things tie in a bit more. It felt weird to me that there was that whole sequence where Tom Cruise, he's on the other sub and he's kind of banking on his team who are off doing their own plot, reconnecting with the Virginia guy at the sonar station or whatever. And they have to like, just by like random chance, pick up his like coded message and rescue him and kind of be on the same wavelength, almost like supernaturally.
They have to use Scientology.
Yeah.
ESP.
That's true.
Yeah. Basically.
It just felt like not like a Deus Ex Machina, but like kind of just a crazy scenario to like throw someone into in like what's meant to be like a taut spy thriller. You know what I mean? Like it was like a Hail Mary.
The movie, the missions he goes on are pretty ludicrous. Like let's talk about the submarine. Like Jordan says in his Letterboxd review, the first hour is them talking about how Tom Cruise has to get into the submarine, and then he finally does get into the submarine, and it's pretty cool in there. It was worth it. But yeah, I like his plan that he comes up with pretty quickly is like very dangerous and has a lot of loopholes or like Swiss cheese like issues where he could easily get killed, right? But then he gets on the submarine, and the vibes on the submarine, very sexy. Like everyone is very happy to see him. Everyone is very there's a sort of I wouldn't call it sexual menace, but like maybe something just underneath that, where there's a bit of like I could kill you or I could sleep with you sort of vibe down there that I thought was really good. And I assume that looking into naval stuff, like that's just sort of how it is. That's they handpick like this kind of most sexually intense people to be on submarines because the pressure down there is extremely intense, right?
Well, think about like the shape of a submarine. It's so phallic. It attracts a certain type of customer.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
so true.
Something that was communicated a little bit in the Russian submarine sequence at the beginning of Dead Reckoning, but not really because they were kind of panicking, right? Who's on the? So Katie O'Brien's on the submarine from. Didn't you see Love Lies Bleeding?
I haven't seen it yet.
Huh?
Yeah.
So she's on there, and Tremel Tillman is on there from Severance, which I watched. So when he showed up, I was like pretty excited.
You were cheering in the
because it's like Tom Cruise saw that show and saw his character Mr. Milchek and was like, we have to get that exact character in the movie, except he likes me. I'm on his good side. And he maybe wants to sleep with me.
Probably does.
Right? Because that's his introduction. Like Tom Cruise is like, oh, you must be Captain Bledsoe or whatever his name is. And he says, you must be out of your damn mind. And it's like, yes. Like let's get it together.
The dynamic between those two is so awesome. It's one of the best parts.
He keeps calling him Mr.
Yeah, he calls him Mr. a lot.
Yeah.
I really like that. Again, maybe is that a naval thing? I don't know. Did they do that? Because Hannah Waddingham or whatever her name is, the captain of the aircraft carrier ship, who gets the president's note that has the date on it, she also calls him Mr. So maybe that's just a Navy thing. I don't know. Do they just call people Mr. down there? I don't know.
That's cute
Down
if they
there.
do.
That's cute. Well,
Down there in the Navy?
down or up, or at sea level. That's down. That's down from where we are. Where are we? Toronto.
We're up for sure.
We're up.
We're a few floors up.
We're a few floors up from sea level.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
Well,
Sorry.
there.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So many peripheral characters that have absolutely no bearing on the plot.
Truly.
Like, just to give people little like moments or whatever. Like Angela Bassett, who plays the Prime Minister, the president, who is formerly in Fallout. She's the CIA director, right?
Oh,
She's-
was that a callback character?
I was wondering
Yeah,
if
she's
she
a callback
was.
character.
Oh.
And she has a son who's in the army, right? and that's the note, I guess, that she gives to the ship captain, and then it's just like so many dumb scenes like that. Like at the end, where she makes the right decision and nuclear a holocaust is averted, and she gets off the plane and meets her army son, and he's like, "Hi, Mom, I love you."
And they have a nice hug.
They have a little hug. Just all that
insane.
Or like the most insane, the most absolutely frivolous, stupid thing is making the Shea Wiggum characters.
Right, John Voight's son.
Yeah, he's John Voight's son. From the first one.
Everything has to be a connection, and
so
they spent like, I wonder how much time they spent. Whoever wrote the script, I have no idea, but like weaving all this stuff, like how much energy was spent doing that. Like the amount of time, it's like so unnecessary and
they probably had
distracting.
Like the wire type boards on the wall with characters and strings being like, who can we connect to who? And it just feels weird that they're dumping all this on us in the last movie. If like these things were set up beforehand over time, maybe it would lead to some sense of satisfaction, but it doesn't really. So it's just like, here you go. Here's all these like ties and like inner universe nepotism, and it's just like why?
Because Ethan is God. That's why.
Well, basically, yeah. Like the movie wants you to think like, okay, out of all the impossible things he's ever done, out of all of the missions, I think the one that is maybe the most impossible, just like on a logistical level, if you think about it in the real world, is probably the submarine thing, right? Mm-hmm. There's just so many variables, like,
and he's
so
so
many things
cold.
that could go wrong, and he's
so cold. You can't be that cold.
When he takes off the thing, I'm like, that's
he's in the Arctic.
There's no way.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they have the Haley Atwell love pod.
She kisses him to better
with the women watching them a little bit.
Yeah,
at the top.
Right. That's right. Yeah, she's actually pretty funny in that movie. Yeah. She gets a couple of good moments. Yeah, yeah. Well, oh god, yeah, that's so funny. I wouldn't have met my wife. Like it's
insane.
Yeah, and I'm making it sound like this movie is really stupid, and it is.
Yeah.
But I that's what I liked about it. Yeah, his whole character is so funny. The Don Lowe character, who they bring back, that Tom Cruise gave him career-ending diarrhea, and it actually made his life better. Because he's like, I would have still been in that room, punching numbers and sharpening pencils and, just being a bureaucrat.
Instead, I live in like an isolated outpost in the Arctic with my wife and like sled dog.
They've got sled dog. They've got a nice. They look so cozy in there. They're probably happy.
Cozy, yeah.
It's probably the best.
He probably doesn't really have that many responsibilities.
Yeah.
Either.
There's no weird neighbors.
Yeah. Every couple of years, somebody knocks on the door and says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," and then you just go back.
The Russians show up.
Yeah, you just go back to your life. No big deal.
I guess it could be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Maybe
for a specific kind of person. If you want to be like that,
they've become members of the ragtag team, as does Greg Tarzan Davis.
Yeah, he defects from Shea Wiggum.
Yeah, finally defects from Shea Wiggum, because and Tom Cruise knows. He gives him the look when they're in the jail or whatever, and he's like, that I'm right. Like, and that was one case where that is actually held up by the previous film, where he does at some point say to Shea Wiggum, like,
maybe they go rogue for a reason.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe he's always right.
Did you ever stop and think that they're going rogue for a purpose?
Yeah, and now finally he becomes part of the team, as does Pom Klementieff.
They
right?
absorb her so quickly, despite the fact that she's a psychopathic killer of like many innocent people.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like, she was like just like crazy in her introduction movie, right?
Yeah,
Whichever
she was
one
like
it
the
was.
edgy assassin.
She was like driving cars, crashing them, and like laughing and stuff.
Yeah,
she was awesome in that movie.
Now she's like normal.
She's just absorbed into the friend group. It's just like you're in the group chat now.
Yeah, where they're all really close.
Yeah,
yeah,
we love each other.
And it's kind of like insinuated that she's like just really out for blood for Gabriel. Like, she hates Gabriel so much that she's willing to align herself with these people to like kill him. But then like she quickly reveals herself to be like a sentimental good person too. It's like Ethan's aura just seeps into other people because he just exudes goodness so much.
He's that effect on people. I feel like it would happen to me too.
Of
don't know.
course.
Well, it happened
of
to
course.
Grace. Grace was like a thief or whatever when she gets introduced. She's not necessarily a good guy.
Mhm.
It happened to Ilsa Faust, R.I.P. No
Yeah.
mention of her in the last one.
Yeah.
He forgot about her real
I was
quick.
missing her a
Yeah.
lot.
Me too.
Yeah, totally. That it just feels kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Like I like the Haley Atwell character. I like
Mhm.
Haley Atwell herself. I think she's good in the movie and everything. It's not about that. But it just feels like weird that character isn't Ilsa Faust.
Yeah.
It feels weird that they're not having that moment in the love pod.
Yeah, like
The
that
decompression pod.
that would have been the plan, right? Like that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like maybe she wasn't available or something.
She was
Maybe-
doing Dune.
Maybe she was too busy raising the Lisan Al Gaib.
Rearing Muad'Dib.
It's a
Yeah.
full-time job doing
It
that.
could be. I don't know.
Mhm.
But it feels wrong. Like that would have actually been something of a character arc.
Yeah.
No,
You know?
because it feels rushed, which is something that's been happening through this franchise. They'll introduce a character, and before you can have any kind of relationship with them, they're on to someone new, which would have been like fine in theory if all of a sudden these last couple movies didn't put so much emphasis on like the legacy and like the friendships we've built throughout the years or whatever. Like during that like big Luther monologue, like it's weird. It's like a difference in values, but they're like rubbing up against each other because on one hand they're like expendable. Tom Cruise will like latch on to the next person he finds and they're BFFs forever. But then also they're like, remember like all these characters and like the power of friendship and memorial. It's bizarre.
He kind of has like a tendency to love bomb and then
Yes.
and then totally ditch them maybe.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
yeah. That's a good way of putting it. When he meets a new character, he will love bomb them by saying, "You're the most important person I've ever met. And nothing bad will ever happen to you or any of your friends."
He doesn't give a shit about Jeremy Renner. He doesn't give a shit about Alec Baldwin.
He
yeah.
drove this snowplow over Jeremy Renner. The official story is that it was unmanned.
Yeah.
And it was just a horrible
The
accident.
true story
The
is
true
Ethan
story
Hunt.
is, Tom Cruise in character as Ethan Hunt, which is indistinguishable from the character of Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
ran over Jeremy Renner for stealing his sunshine.
Did they have any flashbacks to Jeremy Renner?
I don't
feel like
I don't
they
know him.
feel like they didn't.
They showed everybody.
Yeah.
Did
They showed
not
Emilio
show him?
Estevez.
They showed
getting-
it. They showed
multiple times. Showed Emilio getting crushed in the elevator
Oh,
shaft.
yeah.
In the first one.
multiple times. They showed him getting. Yeah, that was so.
It's an
funny.
important scene.
It's so
Is that
funny.
one of the first people that die in the first movie?
Yeah, I think he's the first one to die.
So it like hurt his heart the most. Your first mission death or whatever.
Yeah,
So sad.
is Emilio Estevez in The Outsiders? He must be, right?
Is he one of them?
He must be
That
one
feels
of
like
the
a movie
Outsiders.
he would be in.
Let's just say he is. So they're
Okay.
friends. They're long friends. Yeah. Well, okay. So he's in the submarine. He's in the sexual submarine, and everyone is calling him Mister, and patting him on the butt.
What are you doing, Mister?
What are you? Yeah. What are you doing, Mister? Yeah, you've got to be out of your mind,
Mister?
And then he gets attacked. Blah blah blah. Okay, so now we're getting into the submarine sequence. This is probably my single favorite part of the movie, like cinematically, because it's stupid and it's big and dumb. I don't know, it's just dumb. Okay, so when he gets in and he has to turn the crank to let the water in, right? As he's like adjusting it
Yes,
and whatever. As he turns the crank, the screen's getting wider for the IMAX, and it goes crank and it goes up a little bit, and it goes crank and it goes up a little bit more.
Brilliant.
Come on.
Well done, McHugh.
Let's go. Yeah.
Hats off to McHugh.
That's the kind of stupid, like, they just did it for this format sort of thing that, I don't know. I like it.
Wow, I
Like,
missed out on that. I didn't see it in IMAX.
Yeah, we went.
So sad.
Yeah.
And
Gotta go.
Shit.
We saw like a 10 p.m. screening or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it was
like
late.
Oh my god.
Started at like
Yeah.
10:20 to 30.
It was a
and
10:15 screening, so
Right.
it really started at 10:30 or even later.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got out of there like 1:30 a.m. I was so delirious. I was so high on Tom.
Yeah, I know. We stumbled out onto the street.
Puked
Yeah.
into the gutter.
We broke into the ballroom. The ballroom right
Yeah,
next
yeah.
to the Scotiabank.
Okay.
And we bowled a little bit.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Spent the
We
night
were
bowling.
pretty
Hold your
excited.
asses off.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, and then so that whole sequence I thought was just great. Like it's almost completely silent, except for the sound of the pressure and the submarine tipping over and whatever. And it was just, I don't know, it was so intense, right? I just like loved it. I know it's maybe one of those things like some of the other underwater sequences, like in Rogue Nation or whatever, where he's in sort of a space that you're like, it's kind of hard to relate to a little bit, but this design of the set and everything, I don't know, I fully bought into it. I'm like, yeah, Tom Cruise is on a submarine in the bottom of the ocean.
And
For sure.
something like Jordan and I were talking about kind of the unreality of that previous underwater sequence in Rogue Nation, was it? This one I thought like looked more real, more real. Like it doesn't look perfect or whatever, but like I thought it looked quite good for an underwater action sequence. My only issue was like it happens like quite late into the movie, and because we'd gone to see such like a late screening, I was kind of like fading by the time it happened. Like I acknowledge like this is well done, well choreographed, and would be quite tense, but I was also like sucking on Diet Coke to like survive and keep me awake.
It's also like really dark, so you get like
It's very
sleepy.
dark. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite bit in that submarine escape bit is like near the end where he's like escaped from the sub and it's like falling, and then he's like almost out without like, you know, he's stripped of everything almost, but he still has his mask on. Then his bag gets caught on the sub falling,
yeah.
and he has to go down there and abandons it, and then somehow makes it to the surface. Yeah,
When he's
So
floating up
funny.
in the fetal position and kind of like twitching and stuff, like
Yeah.
that was great acting
That's
on Tom's part.
great.
Yeah. He really drowned himself for that.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
he did.
He really
yeah.
drowned himself.
And
yeah.
they brought him back to life, which Final Destination Bloodlines taught us is not the same as dying and being resuscitated.
Yeah,
So true.
it's true. And they also mentioned the water's so cold, right, that it's preserving him, so he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's frozen.
He's frozen. It's
Yeah,
his heart is
it's good.
just slowing down.
He's like one of those
Yeah.
toads.
Yeah, exactly.
That freezes
You take him out of the
and-
freezer and put some hot water on him, and he's fine.
Was anybody else disappointed by how many mask reveals there were?
Like,
too
as in not
few.
esse
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Two at the
that's
very
fair.
beginning?
Yeah. Yeah, what were the ones at the beginning again?
It's like right at the beginning when they're freeing
The
Plum.
Palm Clement
Yeah.
Giff, remember?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like those are such big moments for me. I don't know about, I mean, it's like such a part of the franchise, but it's always like, oh,
Yeah.
a little like,
Yeah.
oh, hey.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
That's not really Wolf Blitzer. Yeah.
I agree with you, Rob. I was satisfied with the opening credits sequence, though. I always love the opening credits to that Mission Impossible theme, and this was a good one.
Yeah. It's like half
Solid.
an hour into the movie. Wait,
Yeah.
when did it start?
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't remember.
It takes its time.
Takes its time,
It takes
yeah.
its time.
There's so much other stuff that happens. You know, I don't know. They're in a bunker, and the bomb's gonna explode, and I don't know. She has to take the drive out at 1/10 of a second, and all
Yeah.
this pickpocket crap, and Benji gets shot, right, and all this stupid
Yeah,
shit.
they have to give him one of those makeshift surgeries.
Yeah,
or
they have to
whatever.
put a vent in his collapsed lung and everything.
I really like that
Yeah.
bit because it's like the ultimate of like diffusing a bomb situation where he's like diffusing two
Right.
bombs, saving his own heart or whatever lungs,
Yeah.
and diffusing a bomb, instructing somebody else to. It's like as big as it gets, I feel like, for that
Yeah.
kind of scene.
They doubled, tripled down on it.
Well,
Yeah.
because also they introduced so many characters and they all had to have something to do.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So
Yeah.
it's not like Benji could just be sitting around like picking his ass or something
Yeah.
like.
I know. Well, at
Or
some
Palm
point,
couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Arguably, the person with the least to do would be Greg Tarzan Davis because
Yes,
the,
yes.
the couple agree like we'll stay and do the bomb, and he's like, I'll stay with them. I they could probably use my help, and they sort of need to, we all need to cut the wire at the same time and then run to the door.
In 10
It's funny
seconds.
that they all survived. Like that probably could have been a point where somebody else died, but no, that would be a failing on Tom Cruise's part.
Yeah.
Nobody can die except Luther, who was going to die anyway.
So it's
and died a
kind of
hero's
okay.
death.
It was written.
Yeah, it was written.
It was
Yeah.
already written. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so what do we think about the other great big stunt?
The biplanes.
yeah, the
Biplanes were awesome.
very cool. Yeah.
I really like the color scheme of just like yellow plane, red plane, and then like green and then blue underneath.
Yeah.
It's just like a perfect little video game scene.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And obviously him flopping all over the planes and going into different seats and stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, he looks like he's genuinely in distress.
Yeah.
Like quite a number of times.
It's worrying.
Yeah. And I think too, like once it's all said and done, and Gabriel's like, well, there's only one parachute,
Yeah.
Mr. Hunt. And he gets knocked in the crotch, and then he gets his head split open by the
He gets owned by his plane.
Yeah. And that just goes to show, like, obviously that's a funny, ironic kind of villain death.
Yes.
I
was surprised they went with funny, ironic villain death for Gabriel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also perfect because he just kind of sucks. Like he's
Sure.
just, he's not the real problem. The real problem is
The entity.
AI. Yeah.
Which is Ethan's fault. So it's kind of Ethan's fighting himself.
Yeah, but also he never has done anything wrong.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
there were some casualties along the way. Our good friend Nick Offerman.
R.I.P. Nick.
Yeah.
You were such a good general.
Our good friend Luther. But ultimately, he did the right thing.
When Tom Cruise shows up in South Africa for that like final sequence, and he looks like Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
and then when they get into like the old timey biplanes, it really felt like an Indiana Jones sequence or something.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
I was gonna say the other fun thing about Gabriel dying that way is that it shows like you can't just mess around on these planes. Like what Tom Cruise is doing, is like thought out.
Yeah.
Every move he makes, even if it seems a little haphazard, is like to prevent that exact same thing from happening to himself. That you think you can just play his game, right? But no, only he can. Only he is the one. Only he knows how to.
Tom Cruise had more mastery over the biplanes than Gabriel.
That's for sure.
Gabriel easily could have thought for a little bit longer and got out of a situation like that. But no.
He was too cocky.
He was too cocky, yeah.
Way too cocky.
And then he got his head split open.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Am I correct, though, that he gets hit in the crotch first, right?
I don't
Doesn't he
remember
fly
that.
back, get hit in the crotch, and then get hit in the head?
That sounds right. I can't really picture it. There was something that Tom is doing on the wing that's like maneuvering something in the cockpit, I think.
Yes.
And then
yeah,
it like hits him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And am I
It's
also
very
correct
clever.
that when he does get hit in the crotch, there's a sound effect that goes, doink?
Yeah, the doink was a high point for me.
Yeah.
Ooh!
Yeah.
He gets little stars around his.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
He speaks in a really high voice.
Yeah.
Damn you, Ethan!
I'll get you next time, Mr. Hunt. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is exactly what I mean by it being a total cartoon,
I mean, like Rob was saying, with the color schemes, it looks cartoony.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
so colorful,
Yeah. Yeah.
Really satisfying.
Yeah.
Really like clear. It's what makes the planes so much better than like a car sequence to me.
Yeah.
In most
Sure.
cases.
And I will say, seeing it in IMAX, like some of those moments where Tom Cruise is like struggling on the wing, I almost did get a sense of like, not vertigo, but a bit of like disorientation or something, like it kind of did turn my stomach a bit with like the camera zooms and Tom just slipping around on the wing.
Absolutely. 100%.
During those parts, I was like, I'd rather be doing this than be in the cold water in the submarine.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks terrible, but this is better than the other thing that happened in this movie.
Yeah.
Getting
It's
the bends.
Yeah, getting the bends.
it is funny that he goes to the depths and the heights.
Yeah.
That's true.
And definitely the heights feel less scary because we know Tom Cruise can fly planes and parachute and so on. And not even just in a meta way. Like we know Ethan can do those things too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, no one should have been able to do what he did in the submarine. That's crazy,
Godlike even.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Christ-like.
Yeah.
Truly.
Oh,
What
yeah.
would have been even better, though, was if like a narwhal passed by and he like hitched a ride on like a narwhal's floor into the
at some-
surface or something.
Yeah.
I would love that.
This I don't want to. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen it,
You're
for some
fucked.
reason, yeah, we spoiled it. Whatever. But if for some reason you haven't seen it and you're thinking about going to see it, I don't want to oversell how silly it is. Like it's still a Mission Impossible movie, but I think this movie is it's almost silly enough where something like that, like a narwhal saving the day,
Absolutely.
could have maybe fit into it. Like some sort of weird metaphorical animal spirit come up, like a whale or something, or a beluga
I
or
think so
something.
too, yeah.
It's almost at the point where that could have happened, and then Tom Cruise would have like kissed the beluga on its nose and been like, "Thank you, friend."
Yeah. Or he knows its name, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Arson. I don't know. That's the-
Orson.
Orson the beluga.
Thank you, Orson Welles. Mwah. It's almost, it's like,
Well, the sled dogs is kind of like that, right? The fact that they like do use like animal support at one point, and like Haley Atwell has to learn how to command a sled dog team.
Yeah.
yeah, almost. I think a magical whale.
It's one notch below Magical Whale.
It's one notch below.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
I think
what I'm
so.
trying to say. It's just one notch below a magical whale
Yeah.
named Kevin showing up. And then, like,
I love you, Ethan.
yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for doing your good work.
Yeah. A long time ago, Ethan, you saved my life. When you recycled your 6-pack ring, you cut the rings.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. Now I'm here to repay you. And it'll be like, thank you, Kevin. Mwah. It's
Have
so
some
close to
caviar
that.
for the road.
Just throw it in there. Just do
Yeah.
a director's cut. Throw it in there.
And then the whales at the end scene too. They're walking away in the city.
Yeah,
It's
the
just like like walking down the street.
Like, yeah.
See you later,
They
Ethan.
look over at a tank in a Ripley's Believe It or Not aquarium.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's looking around. He sees everyone on the street, and behind him, there's just a giant aquarium tank with the whales swimming backwards. It'd be beautiful.
Yeah. It would be beautiful. That's my only complaint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
fair.
Should we rank it and then rank the series?
Yeah.
So
Oh.
we have a voice note from Catherine, but I'll splice it in at the end
Okay.
because
yeah.
I know you have a heart out and everything.
Yeah, sorry
And we-
about that.
No, not at all. Not at all. We can just include that at the end. Yeah, because
True.
I asked for her opinions on this movie, but also series ranking as well.
Excellent.
Whoa.
So we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, geez, I have to think about. Come up with a rating, Alex.
Okay. How many rogue AIs out of 10?
Rogue AIs. I would say 5.5.
5.5 rogue AIs out of 10.
Yeah, is that maybe out of 10? Out of 5? Yeah, sure. 6. I'm going with 6.
Yeah, I think I'd give it like a 6 too. I did have fun with it, but if I'm going to be objective, looking at the series and stuff, I didn't think this one was one of my like faves, even though it's
weird.
It's silly, and I think the length of it contributes to the silliness.
Yeah.
But it was quite a commitment, and not all parts of his 2 hour and 50 minutes runtime are like silly good fun. There is kind of a lot of exposition. Like we were
There's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were talking when we walked out of the screening how like every time they hatch a plan, there's so much exposition to the plan,
Mhm.
and then when Simon Pegg's involved, it does kind of feel like those quick moments in Shaun of the Dead where he's like, "We'll go to the pub, we'll like ride it all out
Yeah.
with a cheeky beer or whatever." Like,
Yeah.
there's so much planning and stuff like that I don't think is very fun, but the fun moments are very fun. I don't know.
High highs.
High highs,
Yes.
middling lows. So 6 out of 10 rogue AIs for me.
That's fair.
I just because to completely not be objective, I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
I think it's worse than that. And I mean on like a basic filmmaking level, I think there's some really serious mistakes, like shocking ineptitude in certain basic filmmaking practices. But any movie that ends with Tom Cruise saving the world from the most powerful AI and a all-out nuclear holocaust from all nuclear powers, including Israel, who in this movie confirms
Very
does
much
have nuclear
included.
powers,
Yeah.
even though they say they don't. And then ends with a character handing it to Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise being like, "No one man can have all this power. I can have it." 7 out of 10.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's rank the series.
Yeah.
You want to do a ranking, Rob? If
Please.
you've here
Sure.
you can see them. I have
Yeah.
them here if you want to see them.
I need to look at them all too. Yeah.
Or go ahead and look. Yeah.
Um.
I can do mine first then. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've thought about it here.
I have not thought
please,
about
yeah.
it.
So listen. This is like any ranking we do, like any rating we do. It's just bullshit. It's just for fun. Don't
Mhm.
get angry. Don't get upset.
Mhm.
This could change tomorrow. It probably will change tomorrow,
Mhm.
but I won't. I'm not going to update it every time it changes.
Nor should you.
And it's so funny to put the new one in here because where do you put it? You know, it's ridiculous. So I'm going to go from best to worst. Fallout, still my favorite. Mission Impossible 2, just because it's the one I grew up with.
Yeah.
Then Mission Impossible, then Rogue Nation, then Ghost Protocol.
Mhm.
Okay, which I think is you could expect, but here's where I'm going to take a bit of a swing. I'm going to put Final Reckoning before Dead Reckoning.
Okay.
Even if Dead Reckoning is maybe technically a better movie, Final Reckoning is stupider and wackier, and it has that scene where the whale saves his life. So I'm going to put that in first, then Dead Reckoning, and then in last place, sorry,
JJ.
JJ, MI3, which I don't think is, this is the thing, I don't really think is a terrible movie.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these are bad.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
So there's my ranking.
Good fun French on the whole.
Yeah.
I think I would go Mission Impossible Fallout as number 1.
Okay.
Nice.
Mission Impossible 2 as number 2, just
Okay.
because I had a lot of fun with that. I think I would deviate a bit from you, Ben, and I think I'm going to put Rogue Nation 3,
Sure.
then Mission Impossible 1, then Dead Reckoning, then... I think I had more fun watching Final Reckoning than Ghost Protocol, to be honest.
Interesting.
So I'm going to put Final Reckoning, Ghost Protocol, and then also, sorry, apologies to J.J. Abrams, Mission Impossible 3. But they're either... This, you know what? I was being a bit of a hater at the beginning. It was a fun French to watch.
That's all I want to hear.
But I'm going to
That's for
forget
sure.
it all in a week.
And that's fine.
Speaking of forgetting, I forget half of the later ones.
That's also fine.
So if it's my turn, I'm going to say 2 just to be different at the
Yeah.
top. 2 and then Fallout. And then maybe 1 and then Ghost Protocol? What happened to Ghost Protocol?
He climbs the
he
Burj
cl-
Khalifa.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know. I'm going to go with wait. Yeah, Ghost Protocol, sure. I'm lost on this list already.
It's all right. Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah,
That
Top Gun
counts.
Maverick, and then The Mummy, I think.
The Mummy. Yeah.
The next,
Yeah.
and then
Interview with a Vampire.
yeah,
He's great. in
Vanilla
that.
Sky, and then
Vanilla Sky is kind of a Mission Impossible. Yeah.
yeah,
He's on a mission, like to find out what happened to him. Right.
It's a hard one, too.
Yeah.
that's so true.
Eyes Wide Shut. He's on a mission to get laid.
Mm.
All right.
I could get behind that mission.
Yep. Well, that's the franchise.
Yeah, what do we do next, Ben?
Well, I'll tell you. Let's just say next it's going to be a surprise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is it a surprise?
Code word, we don't know what we're doing.
Is it a surprise because we don't know what we're doing, or
We have
because
problems.
we have a huge surprise for you? You'll have to. You'll
I'm
have
so
to wait
excited.
A bit of column A, a bit of column B.
You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
Right.
thanks for coming on, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
Delightful.
we'll have you back soon for the new Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, Scarlett Johansson.
movie. Yeah. Get ready.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
This podcast will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much for listening to the Mission Impossible franchise. I hope you enjoyed it. We do have another series coming up. We are going to be doing 28 Days Later. 28 days, 28 weeks, 28 years coming up. But we also do have a surprise for you. And I'll keep it a surprise, but I'll tell you that it is a new release film from a still active franchise that we have already covered. I'm sure you can put that together. It's not the new Jurassic World, but we will be doing that also. Yeah, get excited about that. get excited about that. Just to leave you off here, we have 2 voice notes, one from Catherine, past and future guest, and one from Jordan, past and future guest, both talking about their thoughts about Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. And we also have Catherine's series ranking here as well. So enjoy that, and we'll see you next week for 28 Days Later.
Hello, Ben, Alex, Rob, Franchisees Nation. It's Catherine here. I'm just calling in 4 drinks deep to talk about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, a.k.a. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, a.k.a. Mission Impossible 8, I think. And, I think that Tom might be a little sad to hear this, but I think I'm being something of a SP, obsessive person, when I say this. But I thought the movie was just okay. Like a lesser Mission Impossible movie. I think that the final hour of the movie is unbelievable. It reaches the heights of some of the best in the series, especially though the biplane chase is very similar to the helicopter chase in Fallout. I still had my jaw on the floor in the theater. Could not believe what I was seeing. But to be honest, the first 45 minutes of the movie, where it's just constant exposition, really dragged. And I think it brought the movie down in a lot of ways, just because of how long the movie is and how much it takes up in the film. I love the Luther monologue in Fallout as much as anyone, but to have that go on for just 45 full minutes is a little bit much. I will also give a quick shout out to the submarine sequence, which I thought was very strong, almost wordless, which I thought was really interesting, and really kind of a masterclass in suspense. It's the kind of thing that Christopher McQuarrie is really good at. It's just a shame that he needs to try to wrap it all up in a story instead of just making these sequences and that's it. So I would give the movie 3.5 torpedoes in a sunken submarine out of 5. And it was a fun time at the theater, but I think it's one of the lesser Mission Impossible.
Hello, it's Jordan. I'm going to let you know my thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and I think the best way for me to do this, I'm just going to read the conversation that I had with Ben a couple days after I'd seen it. So I'm going to read my messages in my normal voice, and I'll give Ben cooler. I'll give Ben a nicer. I'll talk like this for Ben, and this for Jordan. This is me, and now I'm Ben. Okay. Good luck listening through this message. Final Reckoning is a weird movie, but the more I think about it post-watch, the more I like it. It feels like one of those 70-minute Metal Gear Solid cutscenes. Yeah, 100%. We talk about Kojima a bit on Dead Reckoning episode. In its form and content, there's kind of no other blockbuster like it. It's almost analogous to the Star Wars prequels. It is so weird and really sloppy sometimes. It's so earnest and almost embarrassing. Yeah, prequel comparison is spot on. It's unwieldy, but really, really fun. Very funny. I had to check Wikipedia because I couldn't remember if he walked away with the entity drive at the end, despite previously refusing to be a god responsible for its power. The scene where Haley Atwell, without irony, starts telling Ethan he should be digital master of our world. Yes. I thought, oh, this is a dream sequence. Her face is going to morph, and it turns out the AI planted this in him when he was in the box. But it's just real. Insane. It's set up like a dream. I thought for sure it was, lol. And they're so intimate, too. And he says, no, not even I, Tom Cruise, can have that much power. But then at the end, he walks away with it. Oh, also, the Jim Phelps reveal? Lol, unbelievable. So silly. Has so little to do with anything. It feels like a joke. But I love the reconciliation at the end. Like, Tom just blurts it out like a lucky guess. Bizarre. It feels like they didn't trust that the audience had seen or remembered Dead Reckoning. Yeah, what caused them to make it 2 movies? It so clearly should not be 2, lol. Yeah, in general, that almost never ends up working. But making it 2 does result in this very unique and weird movie, which I kind of appreciate. But did something force them to make it 2? I watched an interview with McHugh where he was talking about how the reception to Dead Reckoning changed Final Reckoning. And it's like, yeah, if anything, it made it weirder and more ungainly. I just do not think this is what they actually wanted to make. No, there's no way. The more I think about it, though, the more I'm happy that we got a sort of perfect encapsulation of the series / meta-narrative, with Fallout followed by a strange, cartoonish, messy double feature. Like, it may not have been possible to outdo Fallout, but I'm pleased with their bizarro conclusion, including the many parts of Final Reckoning that feel like mistakes. And I mean basic filmmaking / editing mistakes, LOL. There are a number of edits where I thought, well, that can't be right, haha. Yeah, I like that it's a fucking mess. I'd like it better if it was combined with part 1 and streamlined and moved as fast as Fallout, but there's something so funny about this being the grand final chapter. And I mean, the 2 major set pieces are insane. Biplane stuff is like another escalation of the classic Tom Cruise submarine for the astonishing and also operatically stupid, but like I said, so unashamed and earnest. Yeah, and it was kind of better because of how prolonged the build-up was. Like your review. Get in the sub, Tom. Time to get in the sub. The whole sub crew calling him Mr. all the time. Ha ha ha. Trammell Tillman MVP. Fuck. I might try to see it again in a couple of weeks. The scene where he's in the box and it's like a Ron Frick movie or something. I was so nervous. I love it, but is this what people want? What the hell were they thinking? I half expected the theater to just start laughing. All the non-linear editing between present and past conversations but in identical locations, cutting to Luther in a hospital bed explaining something in the middle of Gabriel explaining something else, and Luther, I guess, is sick and getting treatment in a secret tunnel. It's so crazy. I loved watching him get zapped by the entity pod. Yeah, he's in the London Underground dying of cancer. I'm almost sure they couldn't finish filming and had to cobble together the first half out of scraps. The more I think about this, the more crazy it feels, because it simultaneously rings true and makes no sense, because the first half goes nowhere and is all recap, LMAO. Like, why cobble together an hour of footage that has no center? Cobble together like 10 minutes maybe, but it's so weird, I like it. It explodes my feelings about these films focusing on the wrong elements. They go so far beyond what is acceptable that it's now the weird experimental film of the series, and I adore it, with the saving grace of those few remarkable set pieces. Yeah, I know what you mean, especially that first hour. It's like anime. It feels very anime, especially the emotional register, the gravity / silliness balance, and the vague Christianity. Ethan Hunt needs to make a spirit bomb. Last time on Dragon Ball Z. Okay, that's the whole... Then we started talking... I found a box of DVDs on the side of the road. But I think... I don't know what else I have to say about The Final Reckoning. It's awesome. And I can't believe it exists. It's so weird. And maybe I'm overstating... I kind of feel like I need to see it again, because maybe I'll rewatch and be like, oh, this is more of a normal movie. But yeah, crazy. It was great. I really liked it. I would put it probably in the middle of a series ranking. And it's like a 3.5 out of 5. And I think the only thing that kind of makes me sad, I can't imagine rewatching this movie. It's so long and so specific about the ways that it's enjoyable. It's not a movie that just zips by, and every moment, it's not like every 10 minutes you have another exciting thing that you remember, oh yeah, this is going to happen, I'm looking forward to it. It's so dialogue heavy, and the dialogue is so weird. Yeah, so I don't know if it's the only movie in this whole series that to me feels almost impossible to rewatch. I don't know, but I do think I should see it again. Anyways, I'm just babbling. Go see Cherub. go get your tickets for Cherub. It's on the 22nd. And ask Ben and Devin serious questions during the Q&A. Treat them like real filmmakers who deserve respect and made a beautiful piece of art. Bye.
Jordan's right. You should go see Cherub. And listen, if you buy a ticket for Cherub, you can ask me whatever you want.
Hey gang, it's Catherine here, back again. Still 4 drinks deep, and I'm here to tell you my Mission Impossible ranking, series ranking. This is kind of off the dome. I'm going to negate ranking the first one just because I haven't seen it since I was a child. I feel like it'd be wrong to put it in there, but knowing what like my 8-year-old brain thought of it and knowing what I think of Brian De Palma as a filmmaker, I think it would probably be ranked near the top, either second, third, or fourth. But we'll go from the bottom up. So the bottom is, unfortunately, Mission Impossible 3. I really love Hoffman's performance in that movie, but I think it's just let down by the fact that there's not really any good action in the movie. And it's just like not really what I'm looking for in a Mission Impossible movie, no matter how good Philip Seymour Hoffman and no matter how good Jesse Pinkman is in it. Next I would probably go Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. It's just bogged down too long. Next I would go Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't actually really hate this movie at all, but I do think it's just like a little bit, I don't know, it can't keep up the pace of the earlier Mission Impossible films. Then I'd probably go Rogue Nation. I actually really like this movie. I think that the plane sequence is really strong, and I think that the opera sequence is really strong, but it just doesn't really do much for me. And then I would go, this is kind of a toss-up, but I'm going to put this one here, Mission Impossible Fallout, which I think is actually a really strong film. I love Henry Cavill as a villain, probably the best villain since Philip Seymour Hoffman. And then the two stunt sequences are just amazing. The helicopter fight is awesome, and then the halo jump is great, but I think it's actually let down because when you watch the behind the scenes cut, it actually looks a lot more impressive than it does in the movie when it's muddled with CG. Next I would go Ghost Protocol. I think that Brad Bird is really like attuned to these movies in a way that McQuarrie would then like kind of take over and run with. But the Burj Khalifa sequence, I think, other than a sequence I will talk about, is the best stunt sequence in the entire series. And then my number one pick, unless I forgot anything, I can't remember, is Mission Impossible 2. I think fairly obviously, I'm a big John Woo fan, and the movie itself is just like the most fun Mission Impossible to me, and I really love the free climbing sequence at the beginning of the movie. I think it's really cool, but then also like the movie's able to get a lot more emotional than a lot of the other Mission Impossibles are, just because John Woo is such a strong director, and the last hour is like so much fun to watch. Anyway, signing off, this is Catherine. That's my Mission Impossible ranking, and this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Cruise.
When the great director Billy Wilder was asked, what makes a movie unforgettable? His answer was simple. A little bit of magic. We're all here tonight or sitting at home watching because something came off a movie screen. A little bit of magic touched our lives. And you always remember where you were, the theater, the popcorn, the people you were with when it happened. It was 1968. My family was living in Ottawa, Canada. The movie was Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. What is life? What is space? What is existence? I was 6 years old. And I knew right then and there I wanted to be an astronaut. My family traveled a lot. The white-hot thrill of Jaws, that was Louisville, Kentucky. Senior year, New Jersey, Apocalypse Now. Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, Raging Bull. I knew I wanted to be an actor. In good times and poor times, movies were my lifesaver. And then last September came an event that would change us. An actor friend said to me, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is it important? Is it even important what I do? And what of a night like tonight? Should we celebrate the joy and magic that movies bring? Well, dare I say it, more than ever. A small scene, a gesture, even a glance between characters can cross lines, break through barriers, melt prejudice, just plain make us laugh. Brings us all together. That little bit of magic. That's just me. Tonight we are going to listen to you. Documentary filmmaker Errol Morris crisscrossed America asking moviegoers and culture makers a question. What do movies mean to you? And you answer. So let's expand this beautiful stage into every one of your homes, and maybe even some of you will answer this question as you stand on this stage tonight. What do movies mean to you? So pull up a sofa. It's just us talking. It's Oscar night.
Right, exactly. Well, it's you know, it's great talking to you, but you know what you can do if you love to see. I believe that there's the website there. If you want to
The Reverend Michael Judge, a Roman Catholic priest, and a chaplain of the New York City Fire Department, heard the news early and rushed from his room in the St. Francis of Assisi Friary. He arrived at Ground Zero before the towers fell. As fires raged around him, he comforted his firefighters. While they tried to save lives, he tried to save souls. At one point, he was kneeling, administering the last rites of the church to a dying fireman, when he took off his helmet to lean closer. He knew without a helmet he would be in danger, but it wasn't his job to be safe. The men of Engine 1, Ladder 24, whose firehouse was across the street from Father Mike's friary, picked up his body and carried him from the rubble. They took him to St. Peter's Church and laid him at the altar tenderly. And then they went back to Ground Zero and did their work, because that's what firefighters do. In Father Duffy's eulogy for Father Mike, he said this: "Today we bury his body, but not his spirit. We bury his hands, but not his good works. We bury his heart, but not his love."
Okay, thank you all for coming today. It's my very, very special privilege to introduce Tom Cruise today. Just come out here to say a few words of appreciation to all of us. In the military, we certainly have a motto of taking care of our people first. We tell you do a great job all the time. I think sometimes our perspective is blinded. You all think, okay, yeah, that's your job to tell us. And Tom sought us out, asked to come out, say a good few words about his appreciation for what you all are doing, and I'm going to let him take the mic here real quickly. But first of all, I'd like to present Tom with a hat. This is from the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, just a small token of our appreciation. This is, while it says Naval Air Station, this is the first and the foremost Joint Reserve Base in the United States. Got Texas Air National Guard, Air Force, Marines, and Navy all coexisting peacefully together on the same base. No inter-service rivalry. So I'll present that to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And of course, I was talking to some of our Air Force folks down here and telling them that, you know, between Top Gun and A Few Good Men, you're a Navy veteran. And one of the questions I think you're going to be expected to ask is when you're going to take a role as an Air Force person. Lovely to see you. Thank you very much.
Well, I tell you, can you hear me? Which one? Which one? Which one? This one. I'm a little slow, but then I eventually catch on. How is everyone today? All right. Getting ready for the holidays? Good. Well, I wanted to come down here, first of all, just to thank you. I know we all know what's going on around the world today. And as an American, I really admire and feel proud of what we're doing. And I just want to take time to acknowledge all of you, the families of the men and women that are over there right now. And so thank you for everything that you've done and are doing right now. So I've got a lot of admiration for you. I've had the opportunity to play the Navy, played a Marine once. Played a Red Beret in a military film a long time ago. But Air Force next. But I had the opportunity when I was promoting a picture. I went out to the Korean base out there, and they gave me a flight in an F-16. That was a great ride. I got to fly in F-4, and an F-14, and I love flight. Ever since I was a kid, I traveled to many different places. I went to about 15 different schools, but I always had two airplanes. I had a Spitfire and a P-51, and those were really my two prized possessions as a child, and they were always on my wall everywhere that I went. And one of the things that I always dreamed to be able to do is to fly airplanes, and I've been fortunate to have learned to become a pilot, and been even more fortunate to be able to fly in some of these machines. And when you become a pilot and you have the opportunity to fly in this kind of machinery, you realize the kind of manpower that it takes to maintain in peacetime and in wartime these kind of aircrafts and how to fly them. And I tell you, your respect goes way, way up, and I have great admiration for you all do. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. It's warmer here than I thought it'd be. I'll come down if you guys want some autographs and pictures. I'll come around here. What's that? Question, yes. You can't handle the truth.
So this is a video of Dave Miscavige and Tom Cruise that was taken right after Tom Cruise had a birthday party aboard the Scientology cruise ship, the Freewinds. And the person that recorded this video did it on a camera phone, which were very new at the time. This is back in 2004. And you can see that's why it's moving all around like that. But I'm pretty sure that Dave and Tom do not know they're being recorded. And I don't even actually know that the person recording the video did it on purpose. I cut these two clips together, but right here it looks like Dave kind of notices the guy, which makes me think that he knew he was recording him. And then when he gets brave enough to put the camera back up, Dave points right at him, and that's when the recording ends. So who knows what happened here? Boom. Please like and subscribe. I'm new at this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks.
These are the times now, people. Okay? These are the times we will all remember. Were you there? What did you do? I think you know that I am there for you. And I do care so very, very, very much. So what do you say? We need to clean this place up? Huh? Yeah! Okay. Because we're counting on you. Okay? All right? To LRH. These are the times we will all
did you do? So what do you say? We're gonna clean this place up? Huh?
Is Tom Cruise a true believer?
I feel that he is a true believer.
To LRH.
And when he was doing his Scientology training and his counseling, he was required to do that counseling on another person that was relatively uncounseled in Scientology. And I got to be that person. So I would see him every single day, and he would do Scientology counseling on me. And at that time, he was Tom Cruise, just finished shooting Days of Thunder, did Top Gun a few years ago. He was the Tom Cruise everybody knew and loved at the time. I wasn't paying attention to any of the counseling for probably the first week. I was just like, I'm on the Scientology e-meter holding the cans, and I'm just like, that's Tom Cruise over there. You guys see that's Tom Cruise right there, right? Yeah, you know, I had a few run-ins where even one time when Tom Cruise was counseling me, I fell asleep, like in the middle of the counseling. That was a big no-no. You don't fall asleep while Tom Cruise is counseling you.
You're a black mark against Tom Cruise's name.
Yes. I'd say so. He says in that turtleneck video, somebody asked him, have you ever met an SP? And I say to Tom Cruise, you've created quite a few that I know of.
They said, so, like, have you met an SP? I looked at him, you know, and I thought, oh, what a beautiful thing, because maybe one day it'll be like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one day it will be that. Wow, SPs, like, they'll just read about those in the history books, you know?
And Claire, you failed Tom Cruise. You flunked him.
Yes, I did. Yeah, so the lie detector, the e-meter, after any counseling session, I would play the role of what's called examiner. I look, see, is the person happy? Is there a needle on the dial floating rhythmically back and forth? And so I did an exam on Tom Cruise after one of his counseling sessions, and he didn't have the signs, or the needle wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. So I flunked him, and he did not take kindly to that. Neither did David Miscavige, for that matter. And David Miscavige told Tom Cruise, you know what? It was a mistake. You're fine.
Fast forward to 2004, when I last saw him at the international headquarters, and he was a carbon copy of David Miscavige now. Tom Cruise is a Scientologist before anything else. And he will tell you himself that he is best buds with David Miscavige. They're two peas in a pod. And David Miscavige will tell you the exact same thing. He will tell you Tom Cruise is the most dedicated Scientologist in the world. So the fact that Tom Cruise now sort of mimics or shadows what David Miscavige is like is bizarre in the wildest sense, because there's nobody who looks up to David Miscavige like Tom Cruise. Nobody.